Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today's video I'm going to review a story that recently happened in our community here in Alaska. It's a very tragic, very horror story. It's like Final Destination, something that I wish never happens to anyone. According to ADN, English Daily News here, on May 21st, roughly around afternoon, 5:30 to 6 p.m. evening, a Illinois man, 20-year-old Illinois man, he was a tourist with a couple buddies. His name is Zachary Porter. With a group of friends, just before 6 p.m., they were in the small town of Hope, Alaska. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Him and his friends, they didn't say how many people were there. They just say a group of friends, so maybe 1 or 2, 3, 4 people. But just before 6 p.m., they got a call that Zachary Porter was stuck in the mud flats. Mud flats, it's like quicksand. Mile 11 on the Hope Highway. Now, unfortunately, they were not able to rescue him in time. By the time the Girdwood Fire Police Department arrived, he was already waist deep, and the tide has already come up, and he drowned and died. They weren't able to recover Mr. Porter until the next morning, roughly around 6 a.m. Super tragic and most scariest thing to ever happen to anybody that's messing around water, mud flats, or anything like that. I'll go ahead and put a link in the video description if you guys want to read the whole article, but that pretty much summarizes it up. I'll go ahead and give you guys my personal opinion, and please forgive me and if I make any mistake or if I offend anyone, and my deepest condolence to the Porter family. When I first read the headline of this story, I was like, oh man, the fire department was there and they couldn't rescue him in time and he died. But then when I read the story, they weren't even there yet. The fire department wasn't even at Mr. Porter's tent to rescue him yet. They weren't even there yet. And by the time they got there, he was already underwater. That was the scariest thing. Now, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about this scenario for anyone that's new to Alaska or don't know any of this. We're gonna talk about location, what this is, and how this could have been prevented for anyone that's not aware. The place where this happened was in Hope, Alaska, which is a very small town. This is a super small town. They don't have fire departments. They don't have shopping center, anything like that. Super small town. I believe the population, let's check out what the population is real quick. Hope, Alaska, population 79 people as of 2020. So under 100. So they don't have all your service, 911, blah blah blah. I've been to Hope, Alaska, and the only thing really to do in Hope, Alaska, they have a little bit of fishing, but it's not popular. It's just a bunch of pink salmon where you take your kids because they'll be free to fish on their own, stuff like that. A lot of hiking, stuff like that, but nothing really touristy attraction. They have a small row with a bunch of tourist shop that's open in the summertime, but that's about it. There's nothing really there to do. The only reason why I go to Hope back then, because the Hope Highway is a nice twisty paved road, which is very fun if you have a sports car, or in my case, a motorcycle. So I used to ride this, I used to go out there and ride this highway just because, you know, you can go fast, have fun. So this is where it took place. Now, Hope, Alaska, I want to say is about 2.5 hours south of Anchorage. The closest town with all the fire department, all the gas, and some essential shopping is the town of Girdwood, Alaska. You guys all know that. Now, the town of Girdwood is roughly from the fire department to the beginning of the highway, of Hope Highway. It's about 36 miles, about 40 minutes drive. Now, obviously the fire department, they're probably flashing their lights when they're driving this highway, so they could probably make it there in 25 minutes if they were going a little bit faster. But even in this condition, every second, every minute counts, and they still weren't able to make it there in time. Now, the actual incident where he was stuck was mile 11, and I made a little map right here. So from the beginning of the Hope Cutoff Highway, where you exit off the sewer highway, you guys can see roughly about 11 miles right at the Turnagain Arm, and this is what the Turnagain Arms looks like. You can see the highway, the forest on one end, and then nothing but the Turnagain Arm, all that dark gray area, that's the water. And then all that dark area next to the tree line on the right side of the highway, that's the mud flats that Mr. Porter was stuck on. Now we know location, you guys can understand why time is so essential when something like this happens. And then it's like another 10 miles to the actual town of Hope. But again, there is no help and hope. Mr. Porter here was with some buddies. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're just, oh yeah, they are tourists. They were out here on a vacation. So he was with his buddies. They were roughly about 50 to 100 feet away from the shore, which is, it's not a lot, but when you think about it, it's a good distance. Now, I don't know if when they drop off of the highway, because these highway, literally, I've been there, you can pull off the highway and you can start walking down to the shoreline. And usually there's always some kind of incline or a steep cliff. Not super steep, but usually you always have to go down. It's not like you just get out of your car and walk to the shoreline. It's always a little height that gets you down into the Turnagain Arm if you want to get down there. They first got the call around 6:45. Mr. Porter here, who was already waist deep. Now this is so scary, guys. You know, his friend, they did whatever they could to try to free him, and the tide came just before 6:45, and you know, I don't know what happened during those last moments with Mr. Porter and his friends, but man, all I gotta say was that must have been so scary for all his friends to witness his death and not be able to do anything. It's kind of sad too, because they weren't able to get his body until the next morning when the tide goes down. Super scary, guys. If you guys don't know, the Turnagain Arm, the tide, when the tide comes up, there's a thing called the boar tide. B-O-R-E, the boar tide. And the boar tide is like a sudden rush of high tide. So there's like a sudden rush of water that like, it's like somebody just opened up the freaking drain or the dam, and there's a sudden rush, and usually you'll get like a quick 1 feet increase of water, and then the tide starts to come slowly. That's why a lot of people ride these, they surf the board tide, because there's like a sudden rush. So usually that's what happened first, and then that can really scares you. Now, when the tide comes up on the Turnagain Arm, it comes up fast. You know, you'll sit there 1 second, you look back, and by the time you know, there's already water behind you. People that go fishing, stuff like that in the sewer, you guys all know what I'm talking about. Very, very scary. And then the mud flats, we talk about the mud flat. If you guys have never walked in mud flats or anything like that, it's super scary. If you guys want to experience this, you can just go down to, or if you're in Anchorage, Alaska, you can just go to your local Ship Creek and just go test it out real quick. Go somewhere that's, you know, with people and just test it out. It's worse than quicksand. Some of it you can get out pretty quick. You know, you'll get like, let's say your feet deep in there, and then you can pull it back out. But as soon as you start sinking in, anything above knee, you should start whirring really, really fast. Now, I don't know what they were doing. If I was to put myself in Mr. Porter's shoe, being a 20-year-old with my buddies on a tourist trip, this is exactly what I would be doing. Hey buddies, let's go down, walk the shoreline, have some fun. You know, they probably went down there, walked it. They probably got stuck, and then they probably laughed it off. I mean, if it was me, I would do this. Me and my buddies, if I got stuck, we would be laughing it off. You know, oh shoot, I'm stuck, guys, help me out real quick. And then let's say, oh damn, I'm knee stuck now. All right, this is serious now, guys. Call 911. Okay, guys, I'm waist deep stuck. Now it's serious. So I'm pretty sure maybe the first few minutes when he first got stuck, they were all just having fun, laughing a little bit. And then all of a sudden, they must have realized that, hey, This is not a joke. This is some serious mudflat. Now, the whole turning an arm on hope there, nobody goes down there. There is no need to go down there. It is super dangerous. There is no fishing activities down there. It's just so dangerous that these mudflats, they're not your average mudflats that you guys see like at Ship Creek in Anchorage. They are true mudflats that get that water activity constantly, and it becomes super mushy. And if you go look at it, you don't ever see any footprints of any animal or any human being. And there's a reason why, because you're not supposed to walk on this stuff. Super dangerous. So if I was, like I say, being a 20-year-old tourist with my buddies, that's probably what went through their mind the first few minutes when they got stuck. They probably laughed it off. They were having a little fun, and then all of a sudden, it probably got serious. They called the fire department, and then that's when the Gerwood started their rescue mission. You know, being tourists, I'm pretty sure they didn't even check when the tide was come up. That's something that people don't think about, especially if this is in your state. You're not gonna check when the tide's out. You're not. That's just something that you don't think about, you know. Unless they're like fishermen and they know water and stuff like that. But this is something they probably don't think about. They're probably just out there hiking, and they thought that, hey, we can just go out there and walk. The news also said, no, it's been over 30 years since somebody has died from the mudflats. 1988, 18-year-old became stuck near Engra Creek and died. And then just 1 week before this, another person got stuck near 20 Mile River, which is very close to Hope, or about 10 miles away from Gerwood, south of Gerwood. Another person got stuck while doing some hooligan dipping, and luckily they were able to rescue him before anything got crazy. I think the tide wasn't coming up yet. But you can see here how this is so scary and so dangerous. Now, this could be prevented if... I think the best way to prevent this is if people were a little bit more informed. People need to be informed of Alaska. You come visit Alaska, one thing that might kill you, the most thing that is likely to kill you is Mother Nature. Whether you're out here to go hiking, you get lost, you die by weather or whatever, or by animal, bears, whatever. But when you come to Alaska, don't mess with Mother Nature, guys. Don't go on that crazy hike expedition if you have no clue what you're doing. You haven't done the research of where you're going. Don't go out and walk on mudflats, anything that you're not aware of. If you think that it's just, oh, it's just sand. It's not just sand. It's literally quicksand times 10s, the worst thing you can do. And people don't realize that in Alaska, help is not so close, guys. Unless you're in the city, in the big city and stuff like that, yeah, you know, you can call the police, they'll be there in 5-10 minutes. But when you start going to these smaller towns, these little rural villages, and these little hidden towns that people don't know about, they don't have their own dedicated fire department or 911 or hospital or anything like that, you know. They don't have a pharmacy if you run out of your medication, stuff like that. So a lot of people need to be aware of what they're doing, what kind of activities they plan to do, where they plan to go, and what not to mess with. And this is like I said, this is such a tragic story. And just I was thinking about this, like, man, imagine yourself being stuck waist deep in some mud. You can't move at all, and all you see is water coming up slowly, 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 slowly. I think the lesson that we should all know is that don't mess with Mother Nature. Be aware of your surroundings. Know what you're getting yourself into. And this is just a tragic story for this young man. 20-year-old, such a bright future, up here visiting Alaska for the summer with his buddy. And, you know, I can't imagine what their friends and all his friends are going through witnessing his death. And just, you know, oh man, we went to Alaska, we had a bunch of fun. But unfortunately, we lost one of our friends in this horrible story. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I felt like I had to review this story because this thing really hits home. Because, like I said, this is a very, very scary story, and something that I don't wish anyone has to experience. And also, I think this is very important for a lot of people that go out there and adventure in this area. And most people that meet these kind of mud flats, they're most likely fishermen. So if you guys are a fisherman, if you guys enjoy fishing, and where you go there's mud flats, Ship Creek, Bird Creek, all those things, you guys need to be very, very careful. Be aware of your surroundings. Know where you're going. If you have never went this way in the mud flats, you should be very cautious. Go with somebody that knows the way. Be with somebody. Have cell service. And just be cautious, man. One little mistake and, you know, something can go crazy. So I think that we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this story. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And again, very, very sad to see Mr. Porter here pass away in this tragedy. Deepest condolence to the family, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you guys next time.